Fans, you always turn up, and you make the game what it is. So we think you deserve a better betting experience. Every time you bet with Fanatics Sportsbook, win or lose, you get up to 5% of your wager back in fan cash. Spend it on jerseys, fan gear, bonus bets, and more. And for a limited time, bet and get up to $1,000 in bonus bets over 10 days. Welcome to the most rewarding sportsbook.
This may be a life changer.
The best of the best, it's a pretty damn big deal.
All walks of life abounds in this one game. It's just amazing.
It's special.
It's a different level of excitement. It's a different level of adrenaline.
This is the show.
Surreal. It was wonderful. It's the mecca for tournaments.
And good afternoon, racing fans. Welcome to Hawthorne Racecourse for a Saturday afternoon of Thoroughbred action. Jim Miller and Emily Gullikson up here in our mezzanine level studio on a Belmont at Saratoga Saturday. The race has been actually really good, though, at Saratoga today. It's a really nice card, but the Belmont does come up a little bit later today. We'll take a break between races 6 and 7, but it's a really good card here at Hawthorne, too.
I was going to say, I mean, they're struggling to compete with us, because I think our card is extremely competitive, lots of price plays. And again, I mean, they're good racing there, but follow Hawthorne because this is where the action is today.
There you go. 9 races today, 4 of them on the grass, fast main track, firm turf course. Chance at a couple of passing showers. It's going to take a decent amount of rain to come off the turf today because we haven't had rain since early in the week, so that's a good thing. 10 races tomorrow, so that's one thing that we want to point out. And then starting next week, we just want to get consistent for the post time. So starting next week will be a 2:10 first post every single racing day. So everything will start a little bit earlier, but because we're going to have 9 and 10 race cards, we want to get done about the same time. So 2:10 first post starting next Saturday. All right, Emily, 9 races today, only 28 minutes to post. Let's jump into the races here. As in the opener, we go 1 mile and 70 yards, 12.5 claimers in the first, not winners of 3 races lifetime. It's a field of 6 to line up in the opener. Even money right now in the 2 Chaos Reigns. I think Chaos Reigns will be tough in this spot. There's a couple of others that could definitely jump up. How did you see race number 1 unfolding?
I think Chaos Reigns could be the horse to beat. There wasn't a Jim and Emily in the race, so I had to settle for Jim and Jim in here. But that's the way I went, just for that slight upset. But I think Chaos Reigns is the horse to beat. Currently even money. Will cycle back around, but Jim and Jim on top.
The thing about Jim and Jim is just getting away from the gate. If the horse can break, okay, the horse could be in the mix. That last race was actually a little bit better effort, too, in the mud. And just get away just a little bit better.
Yeah, and even if he doesn't, I think there's enough pace in here, especially with Chaos Reigns in the race, to keep everything honest, and that could still assist him even if he does break slow and make that run from off the pace.
That was my one concern with Chaos Reigns, because I do think this is the best horse in the race. Yeah. But Slava Ukraini we know is going to go, and Slava Ukraini can be very good and very tough on the front end, and then Jet Flight's a horse that could rate close too. You might get the right pace set up here, so we'll see. And Jim and Jim's taking a lot of action. People are reading what you are writing on the website.
Well, you too, right? Did you go in that direction?
No, I picked Chaos Reigns. Okay. I went with the Chaos in the opener. But Jim and Jim right now currently 3-1 on the board in race number 1. Now we have 4 turf races today. We did a little turf progression. We went 5, 5.5, mile, and a 16th today. And we do kick off going 5/8 of a mile on the grass. 13.5 claimers in race number 2. It's a good field of 9 to line up in this spot. You and I were thinking very similarly in this spot. Doc 7 for trainer Steve Manley comes in here, ran pretty good in that last out. I think this one could be very tough today.
Yeah, I like Doc 7's last out. I thought just waiting for this one to get on the turf. Finally did. Ran a good race. Had to make a move against the truck profile to finish 3rd. Finds a different race shape today. Should be in the right spot to compete. Going back to Doc 7's in here. Also gave a look to Lip Liner, one that's going to give up some recency, but Vance Childers is so good in these type of races. It's already had a winner coming off the layoff. And then Move It Baby being a little bit obvious, but Doc 7's on top.
Yeah, Move It Baby was a good winner in that last out. That one liked a little bit softer going too. With a firm turf, I tend to wonder if it moves a couple up and maybe brings Move It Baby just back to the field just slightly. Rambert ran pretty good from the outside in that last out, but yeah, it's a good competitive race. If you can get the candy, we'll take action. But if you can get right around that price on Doc 7, I think that's a good value there, and I'm with you. And you could potentially get it just because of some of the others in the field that race too.
It's a full field, and you got horses coming off wins. So yeah, I would imagine probably sitting around the 3rd choice.
Yeah, I agree with you there in race number 2. 3rd race on the card, $15,000 maidens in this spot. They go 1 mile and 70 yards. Field of 8 to line up in race number 3. We're thinking alike again in here. I love the spot. I think finally Mining Camp is in the right spot. It's 2 turns, it's main track, should be the controlling pace. I think today could be the day in start number 21.
Yeah, that is the
That's
one
a rarity for
reservation.
both of us.
Yeah,
But
well, I found this race tough. I could go a lot of different ways. Obviously, Mining Camp, I think you start there and say, I think this is the right field, time, and place. But then when you're 0 for 21, you're like, it might come down to price too, because if it's too short, then maybe that opens the door just a little bit, and that's all it's going to take in this type of race, and maybe that's enough for Performance Plus that I put on top, just because I think it's probably going to be a little bit more value in here. Is coming in off races that finishing in the money, but doesn't have any red in the past 3 run lines, and I just like that, just because it's showing me a horse that at least it's in form and should be a little bit of a price. But yeah, it'll be one that when we cycle back around, and also getting looks in the paddock, I think that's key in these races as well. Yeah, Performance Plus picks up Alexis Centeno in here. I picked that 1 second in this spot, but I could see the horse running well too. Elias Lopez having a decent meet as well. Absolutely. Mining Camp, like I said, I'm hopeful it's the right spot here. Julio Felix gets back in the saddle, and I think just dropping in for the tag is the key for this runner. Let's see what we get out of Mining Camp as well there in race number 3. Race 4, back to the grass. 5.5 on the turf this time. Take out the 7. That's Remember the Main. That one's entered in on tomorrow's card. I think it's probably a better spot for that one. It's not going to really affect this field here. You do have a very good field of 9 in here. Codename on the outside from the barn of trainer Patty Miller. This one's waiting for the turf, scratched in a race that came off the turf a couple of weeks ago. Back on the grass today, Codename could be very tough. Yeah, that's the way I went. I gave Codename a look when they were entering the grass earlier in the meet. I think they've kept the horse in condition, waiting for this race, and just looks like it's a clever spot, picked up out of the sale, placed where they can compete. And it hasn't shown much improvement in terms of those prior connections, so it's not one that you're expecting a big move forward, but on the circuit, 4 connections that can keep the horse in condition and where they can compete, I think this is the right spot. I think Codename is the one to beat. I think Where You At Vince is a horse that could be very competitive as well. I took a shot on a horse that I have no idea how it's going to handle the turf. That's the 2 Arthurian. This one from the barn of trainer Cody Rosine. Luis Colon gets the call today. It's just the speed on the inside. You know Congrats on 50 is going to go. Give Me the Candy's going to go. Codename's going to go. I think if Arthurian actually lets them go and just kind of tucks them behind and saves ground, that might be the right trip, and then kind of rate and run on late. It's rare that you see a horse coming off 3 starts at Fawner coming over here to Hawthorne today to be a major factor, but maybe this is one that could do so, and I think, again, you'll get a decent price. So Arthurian was the one that I looked to in race number 4. 5th race today was really the only race that was hurt by scratches. A couple of them out of here. The 4 featured Power and the 6 Tribest. I thought Tribest had a big shot in here too. 62.50 maidens. They go 3/4 of a mile. Now you get Good Magic Woman, who could be a factor. Price will be shorter. Arrington, another one. Price will be shorter. And then you have Lost Sunset on the inside. How did you kind of see things unfolding here? And what is still a pretty competitive 5th race? Yeah, Anna After Midnight coming back to face fillies and mares. Has a lot of early speed, cutting back in distance. Could just be the right combination. But I gave the nod to Good Magic Woman. Just should be in the right spot to clear this maiden condition. Has enough tactical speed to sit right close behind Anna After Midnight and Lost Sunset if those 2 go and set the pace, and should be able to get the right trip for Cheryl Weinbach, who has been sending out live runners. And we were talking about that last week. To watch this barn, everything was running live last week. Everything could run live again this week. Again, it will be a little bit shorter price with Tribest out of here, but definitely could be a threat. Arrington I went to in this spot. This is a horse that went over to Indiana, ran a good race 2 back, and then in that last out, clipped heels right at the start. That was the end of the day, and the horse was the 4-5 favorite in there. And did gallop out. They stumbled. I watched the replay, and Arrington got up and ran off on their own. And obviously, no worse for the wear because they're right back in this spot. Right, and 5 of 8 on the board over this Hawthorne trip. Uriel Lopez, familiar with the horse, back in the saddle again today. I think there's enough pace to run at. We're going to find out if that's the case, but I think you get a decent price with Arrington as well in race number 5. 6th race on the card, back to the turf. 1 mile on the firm turf course, 17.5 claimers, now winners of 2. In the spot, we're going to scratch the 2 walks softly, and both also eligibles. Leaves you with a field of 9 to line up in this race. Leipzig from the barn of Hugo Rodriguez, I think, really wants to get back on the turf. I'm willing to give this one another shot in here. Miss K's Dynasty ran a really nice race in that last out. And then you get a horse like What's to Do is a little bit of an unknown. I thought this was a pretty intriguing race. Yeah, I went with the nice combination of Leipzig and What's to Do in here. Leipzig given an upgrade, making that second start off the layoff, going back under similar conditions, was a flow upgrade from the May 12th race. And then Heron's been looking to get What's to Do on the grass and has some prior solid grass form. And racing at Oaklawn obviously didn't have the opportunity, despite being called Oaklawn, no lawn. So coming in here and has been sending out live runners as well. I went in that direction. Lipstick having the recency, but those two. And then as far as number 7, Miss K's Dynasty, we talked about her last time. She took so much sneaky money. Probably should have won. I mean, did everything but, just landed on the wrong side of the photo. I mean, no fault there. Together at the wire, but I just think it's going to be a much shorter price today, and you're going to have to come back and do it again on shorter rest when you had a really live horse just 27 days ago.
And it was so many changes from Miss K's Dynasty into that spot. It was a move to turf. It was adding front wraps, adding blinkers, adding Lasix, new jock, all of that, and the horse almost won. Like you said,
the horse was very live.
Took action.
Yeah, it took a lot of action. I know it's not going to look at it when you see those final odds, but I remember telling you, I was like, did you have this one in the mix? Because I'm seeing some money going on here, and we followed it early and definitely ran like a horse that was well met on the day. Ran
a crazy good race there, and I tend to wonder, because I know the horse got a little leg weary late in that last spot. A lot of them did, because that was a soft course back on the 12th of May. So I'm going to look. I got Uriel Lopez in back-to-back races 6 and 7 here at Hawthorne. Race 5 and 6, excuse me. Race 7 is a really good race. $50,000 optional claimers. They go 6.5 furlongs in this spot. It's a field of 8 to line up. You look up and down this field, you can go so many different ways. Went West for the new barn. Cortez, who's been good. DeVito has 2 in here. Absolute chaos. Navy Seals run well. This is a very solid race. It's almost a stakes quality bunch.
Yeah, absolutely. These are so hard-knocking horses, right? If somebody was like, okay, Jim, pick one. I'm going to give you one of these horses. Like, who would you pick? You couldn't go wrong. You could, I mean, every horse in here, you'd be like, I'd love to have this horse. They're so cool. I think the race sets up really well for Went West. Again, I have no knocks on any horse in this field. It just comes down to handicapping the entire race as a whole. I think it sets up for Went West. Shockford Strong is going to come back. It was a concern last out just with the post and with the race shape. And even though they have the inside today, I don't think it's as extreme of a race shape to be as compromising, but I think Went West gets the trip.
I'm with you. The added 16th of a mile has got to help. I don't mind the switch to the barns. You have to think that you like this horse a lot to claim it for $50,000, and that's what they did. And they're right back in for the 50 today. So, hey, if they get claimed back and they win and take the pot, they're doing just fine. Eli's Promise being in the race makes it intriguing because you have 2 DeVitos with similar running styles. I'll be curious to see if one goes, if one rates. We'll see how things unfold there, but I'm with you. I like the chances of Went West as well in race number 7. In the 8th, this is the last of our 4 turf today. We go 1 mile and a 16th on the firm turf course. Take out the 10, Hoy Lake. That was originally my top pick. The 11, Manfredi, and the 12, Io Fedro. Leaves you with a field of 9 to line up. Louis Roussel's got a couple in here. Chris Block has Even the Wind in here. This is still a very solid race with a lot of lightly raced horses, too.
Yeah, I went to Interlude. I've been waiting for this one since that November race at the fairgrounds. It's just, you watch races, you're a trip handicapper. That's the type of trip that you're like, I'm playing that horse next out. And had to wait a little bit, but so of the connections, they've been trying to get this one on the turf. And I think through all that waiting, coming back from that better than looked effort, closing out 2023, this is the spot. I'm Interlude on top. I gave Even the Wind another look, just one we were chasing last year and just waiting for the right trip. But Interlude on top, and then slight back up with Even the Wind.
You and I talked about Even the Wind when this one ran at Tampa last March, saying, hey, this is an Illinois bred who's eventually going to find its way here to Hawthorne, and did. So many times, almost got those victories too. I ended up scratching into that one. I liked Hoy Lake, thinking that if Owen Hardy was willing to ship this horse from Kentucky for this spot, it has to be for a reason. But I thought this was a very tough race in here. But it is going to be now Even the Wind for me in race number 8. In the finale today, we get a field of 7 to line up, $4,000 claimers in this spot. Scratch the 5, Aunt Stella. Still a pretty competitive race. You have a decent amount of pace in here. You get a horse in Galib's Magic who will take a lot of action, but it's coming off a long layoff. There's a speed of play 20 in this spot, but still, there is some potential for prices. I don't think there's going to be a very short-priced favorite in here. But for you, who are you looking to? Was it She's Reckless that you gave a little bit of a look?
Yeah, I went to She's Reckless just because it is a little bit of a stab, but the 2 most recent starts, I don't think she handled the track and has been given time since, and that could just be the key. The higher figures back in the 2023 campaign were fit on par, and I just think needs a reset, moves outside horses today. Coming back in this spot, I think this would be the time. So that's who I'm going to take a shot with, because it is the type of group where I think if you start gutting too deep,
Yeah.
Might not go deep enough, so it's sort of one of those that I'm willing to take a shot that it's the day for She's Reckless, gets the right trip, and has those back races. Running back to those races, she's the horse to beat.
Yeah, I was all or nothing, and I kind of felt like I had to be all or nothing with play 20. The horse either going to get the lead and wire the field, or the horse is going to get headed and back up. So I'm hoping it's to get the lead and wire the field. Feeling here, Jim Watkins had really good meet last year. He had gotten off to a good start. His gun rushes back tomorrow in the helicopter, so that's cool to see. But play 20 likes this track, likes this distance. I think is the fastest to the front. You need to outkick Opaline and Smile at the Storm, so the brake's going to be the key, but when you're the outside of the speed, maybe you put a little bit of pressure on them, and they're the ones that back out of it. So play 20, the all-or-nothing horse for me in the finale. All right, that's how we see the 9 races here today. Let's flip back to the opener. As in the first, we go 1 mile and 70 yards, 12 5-claimers, non-winners of 3 races. Lifetime, we offer win, play, show, exacta, trifecta, superfecta, double pick 3, pick 5, pick 6 wagering, or pick 6 is later. Place pick 8 wagering. I was thinking about the pick 6 because we're actually going to drop the pick 6 soon, and we're going to add a late pick 5. So add the pick 6 on the mind. But yeah, we're going to add a second pick 5 wager here at Hawthorne. So we'll have an early pick 5 and then a late pick 5 on the final 5 races. If there's a carryover, it'll be early to early, late to late. So if the early pick 5 were to carry over, go the early pick 5 the next day. Same if the late pick 5 carries over, go the late pick 5 next day. That's going to be starting next week as well. But in the opener with all those wagers, it's a field of 6 to line up in the first. 1 mile, 70 yards. Again, 12 5-claimers, non-winners of 3. The 2, Chaos Reigns, currently sits as your 4 to 5 favorite on the board. Julio Felix aboard for trainer Jimmy DeVito. Get a look right there at Chaos Reigns. Pretty good looking racehorse here in the paddock. I do think this is the one to beat.
Yeah, he is the horse to beat. He's run some of the faster, more consistent speed figures. He's been competitive at this level, going back to Oaklawn Park back on May 4th. That closing weekend was part of that early pace. It was a very fast early pace from the outside post, so it was given a flow upgrade. Then showed up here on the 3-week turnaround, that May 26th race where they broke slow and then made a move, ran on late, stretching back out in distance, has that early speed. So not only could be the horse to beat, but is going to play a big role in the race shape because he's going to make some of the others run with him, and if they don't run with him, then he's gone.
Right.
So yeah, he's a major player in here, and we're seeing even money. Whether that's fair odds is up to the individual, but I think he makes a lot of sense in here. I just think he's going to find some pace pressure, and maybe there's some other value elsewhere.
And that's the thing about Chaos Reigns is we know he's solid. I like the fact that he won at 1 mile and 16th at Oaklawn, so at least you got a full stretch race, because if it was just that mile, the short stretch race, then you'd be a little bit suspect in there, but was able to win around 2 turns with a full run of the stretch. But man, you just look at Slava Ukraini, you know Slava Ukraini's going to go.
And he had the race that you mentioned back at Oaklawn Park, he had a lone lead that day.
Right.
So he wasn't taking
and didn't have to go fast.
And didn't have to go fast. So he wasn't taking that pace pressure that day. And then when he came back at the mile, he had to work really hard. And I think that also played a role in that next start as well. So their best game is to get out there in front. Whether they take pace pressure and hold on remains to be seen.
Right. He's a short price favorite, but he's not a gimme by any means. And that's the thing. He could be there, but I wouldn't be shocked if someone beats him. One that is taking a lot of action here is the 4. That's Jim and Jim. Israel Hernandez aboard this runner today for trainer Fernando Bahena. Your background 2 turns. The horse actually run pretty good at 1 mile 70 yards throughout the course of its career. And I think Jim and Jim may even sit a little bit closer than what we've seen in some of those sprints too. What do you make of this one all the way down to 5-2 on the board?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's actually kind of a positive sign. I mean, the horse is moving forward in their form cycle and started to show that at Oaklawn Park. He really lost form coming off the layoff and into the claim for the Bahena barn. But as he started to race, he started to improve. And really the race that kind of caught my eye in that was that April 19th race, where he just completely missed the break, but then made a move, and you're like, okay, this horse is starting to put it together. Since then, he showed up on this circuit and still has that pattern of slow starts, but number-wise, moving forward, showing a little bit more. So this would be the time to put forth that top effort if it's there, and getting some attention, I think could be a positive. But with 11 minutes to post, we could see something change. But I think the early money is positive for this type of horse for this barn.
Yeah, he's a pretty good looking racehorse there in the paddock too. I like how just overall appearance there that we're seeing out of Jim and Jim. Now the 5 Plainer Peanut sits at 9-1 on the board right now. Rachel Slavinsky aboard this runner today for trainer Joel Zawitz. Wheels back just a week off that last race, but I thought that was a good victory. I thought it was a good ride in that spot. You are facing much tougher here today. But again, if Slava Ukraini goes and Chaos Reigns goes, this is a horse that just kind of sits back and might be able to pick off some horses late.
Yeah, it's such an old school move to just be like, we're going to run in a week and then we're going to run back in a week. And when you have a horse that's in form and it's race ready, why not, right? Horses work out 1 week apart, so what's a race, right? And he makes a really positive physical appearance. Actually, I think he looks better this week than he did last week for what it's worth. This is a step up in class from the race just last week, and that day it is worth mentioning that it was raining. He did have some pace to close into, but you're right. If he gets a similar setup, if he's in form, the back numbers fit just as well as any in here, so that gives him a look, 9-1.
Yeah, 9-1 right now on Plain or Peanut. Now, walking right in front of him is the 6. That is Slava Ukraini. We did mention that one a few times. Slava Ukraini at its best at Hawthorne, at its best around 2 turns, but also at its best on the front end. So the question is, do you go and try to clear from the outside for the new barn, or do they try some new tactics? Because you don't want to go out there and duke it out and have both horses suck out of it and you're done. But there could be the potential that one goes or the other goes, and we just kind of go from there.
Yeah, I think this is first off the claim. They're going to step up in class. They have all the options to drop back down.
Right.
I think you give Slava Ukraini his best chance to win, right? And if you pick up the higher purse, then you go for it. But there's nothing to lose. You got to give their horse their best chance. And you just want to see competitive races. And he was competitive at this level back in those sprint races. And you're right, he's not a preferred sprinter. He's better around 2 turns. So it's not that this is a level that Slava Ukraini is way out of his element.
Right.
And he's racing into form. He's in good form. He's coming back from that May 26th race where he did stay on as the best of the speed that day. Got a little bit tired late, but they went very fast early, so you can give a pass for that. He ran a huge race that day.
Yeah, 13-1, pretty good price there on Slava Ukraini. The 3 is Jet Flight. Jet Flight from the barn of Manny Perez at 8-1 on the board. Luis Colon aboard today. Colon was in the saddle for that last out, and Jet Flight ran a good race, responded nicely, pushed the pace along, grabbed the lead in the lane, had to battle the entire stretch, but held on in there. That was against 25 non-2, so you're down in the 12-5 non-3. I think this is actually, though, the right move, probably the right spot for this racehorse.
Yeah, it's interesting because even though they are running for that $25,000 non-winners at 2, today's race part is a little bit higher.
Yeah.
The race back on May 4th really set up for Jet Flight, not just how it played out on paper and on the track, but just the way the race shape and the way Jet Flight was coming into the race. So might have to step forward a little bit, and going back to May 4th, got a good ride that day, and the top 4 were together at the wire. So trip is going to be key.
Yeah, and then lastly, the one hands off the goods as we're about ready to get riders up. Frank Reyes aboard for trainer Irvin Moreno. Irvin had his first winner here just a couple of weeks ago with Temple Fool. That one's back in. Hands off the good with the stretch and distance. Another one that maybe shows a little bit of speed.
Yeah, I think that would be the plan. And again, not a bad spot. A horse that's progressive. 3rd start off the layoff. The numbers going in the right direction. This horse would not be surprised to put forth a good effort. He's currently sitting at 10-1. You can keep him in the mix.
Yeah, pretty good price there on hands off the good. That's your field of 6 for the opener. Again, 12-5 claimers go 1 mile and 70 yards. Riders about to get a leg up for race 1. Good luck.
Coming on the track for the Saturday opener, they'll go 1 mile and 70 yards on a fast track. Field of 6, no jockey changes. Number 3, Jet Flight, will carry 1 pound over the program weight. Win, play, show, exacta, trifecta, superfecta wagering. This race starts the rolling daily doubles, rolling pick 3s, the 50-cent pick 5, and the $1 place pick 8. Remember, low 12% takeout win, play, show wagers, 8% takeout, and the place pick 8 wagers. Parading here they are. 1 hands off the goods. Frank Reyes up. 2 is Chaos Reigns with Julio Felix aboard. 3, Jet Flight, will be handled by Luis Colon. Here's number 4, Jim and Jim, Israel Hernandez. 5, Plain or Peanut, will be handled by Rachel Slavinsky. And number 6, Slava Ukrainiola Fernandez will bring him to the gate, and they'll all be there in about 5 minutes to kick off the Saturday program here at Hawthorne. I remind you, dirt track is fast, turf is firm, rail set at 20 feet out on the turf course. Large crowd here across the betting network. We do urge you to make your selections early. Racing fans, a little time remains for you to wager on today's first race here at Hawthorne. First race features rolling doubles, rolling pick threes, a 50-cent pick five, and a $1 place pick eight. We have a 9-race program today. The dirt track is fast, turf is firm with the rails set at 20 feet out on the turf course. We have one carryover pool. The 4th race starts at pick 6, and that carryover pool $371. If you missed it earlier, we do have a headwind in the home stretch of about 10 to 12 miles per hour. We are close to starting time for race 1. We do urge you to make your selections early. Racing fans, just been informed that a jockey, Alexis Centeno, will not be riding here today. There'll be change of riders on all of his scheduled mounts beginning in the 2nd race. In the 2nd race, number 4, Lip Liner, the jockey will be Carlos Ulloa. The weight's okay. Carlos Ulloa to ride 4, Lip Liner in today's 2nd race. Once again, Alexis Centeno will not be riding here today. We'll go over all the changes right after the 1st race. Right now, the 2nd race, Lip Liner, the jockey will be Carlos Ulloa. The weight's okay. Racing fans are at the starting gate for race 1 here at Hawthorne, first of 9 on the Saturday program. Horses are entering the starting gate. Last 2 to go in will be Jet Flight and Slava Ukraini. Waiting for Slava Ukraini. Still waiting for number 6, Slava Ukraini. Now he's in. They're all in the gate. They're off. Towards the inside, hands off the goods, and Chaos Reigns going for the lead. Jet Flight showing speed from the outside, Slava Ukraini. And then it's Plain or Peanut in the early trailer, Jim and Jim. As they move around the turn, up front, Chaos Reigns has the lead. Chaos Reigns takes the lead, and as they go on to the backstretch, Chaos Reigns opens up 2.5 lengths. Hands off to good second, Jet Flight on the rail third, Slava Ukraini fourth, Plain or Peanut fifth, and Jim 6th, about 8 lengths behind the leader. The opening quarter, 24.68. 5 furlongs to go in the Saturday opener, and Chaos Reigns in control, leads by 2. Hands off the goods out there, second, Jet Flight third, Slava Ukraini moving sharply 3 wide fourth, and then it's a 4-length gap to Plain or Peanut, and Jim alongside that one. They move around the turn, and it's Chaos Reigns leading 2.5 lengths, and the outside hands off the good second, Jet Flight trying to rally on the rail, Slava Ukraini now hanging 3 wide third, still a long gap to the trailing pair, Plain or Peanut, Jim, they turn for home. Chaos Reigns comes off the turn, trying to take them all the way, leads by 3. Towards the inside, Jet Flight. Then on the outside, Slava Ukraini in tight quarters, hands off the goods. And then a gap to Plain or Peanut inside the final furlong. Chaos Reigns has the lead. Julio Felix looks back. He'll need my binoculars to see his foes. Chaos reigns, an easy winner in the Saturday opener. It's going to be Jet Flight second, Slava Ukrainian, hands off the goods. In today's first race, 2, Chaos Reigns finished first. 3, Jet Flight second. 6, Slava Ukraini third. 1, Hands Off the Goods fourth. 2361 is posted. It's unofficial. Running time 144.14. We have an objection. In this race, jockey Frank Reyes, who rode number 1, has lodged a claim of foul against the second and third place finishers 3, Jet Flight, and 6, Slava Ukraini, alleging stretch interference. At this point, the inquiry does not concern the objection does not concern the unofficial winner, but rather concerns the unofficial second and third place finishers numbers 3 and 6 respectively for possible interference to 1, Hands Off the Goods in the stretch. The unofficial winner 2, Chaos Reigns. Chaos Reigns, owned by Double Down Stables Incorporated of Richard Templer. Jim DeVito trains Julio Felix, the rider. Racing fans, we have a disqualification. In this race, number 6, Lava Ukraini, finished third, has been disqualified and placed fourth for stretch interference to one, hands off the goods. New numbers posted 2316. 2316. New numbers posted. Today's first race is official. Running time 1:44.14. 2316 is official. Prices in a moment. The $1 exacta 2-3, $5.20. The 50-cent trifecta 2-3-1 pays $10.90. 20-cent superfecta 2-3-1-6, $26.14. We'll show you the disqualification on the TV screens in just a moment.